He's a man of many hats, a former professional boxer, a business owner, a best-selling author, a philanthropist, and 2019 National Boxing Hall of Fame inductee. Here's your host for Shining the Light, Alan Santana.
Just going to go right into this, guys. You ready? My next guest has been on The Voice in season 2. He was a finalist in The Voice, on The Voice, I should say. And he has since had a fairly successful career in the music industry. I want to welcome Jesse Campbell. Jesse, welcome to my show, Shining the Light.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Alan. Glad to be here.
So, Jesse, let's talk a little bit about your career. Like I said, you were on The Voice. Talk about that experience, man, and how that all came about.
Sure. Well, I am a man of faith. I believe in focusing your thoughts that become things, on the desires of your heart. And I've sung all across the country and a dozen other countries, singing primarily Christian music, but I wanted to do something different. And to make a long story shorter, I said, I want to reach as many people as possible in the least amount of time. It's about being efficient and smart, wise with the gifts and the talents that the Creator has given us. So I said, I want to go on a singing reality show. My mindset, my thoughts, as I sat in front of my vision board of pictures, was to go on to X Factor, because I believe that Simon Cowell would be the man to take my career to the next level. And I auditioned for all of the singing reality shows, The Voice in 2 different states, and America's Got Talent, X Factor, and I made it to a certain place, but then they all basically told me no. So I said, oh, well, I've done my best, so I'll just go back to school and finish my education in spiritual psychology. How am I going to pay for that? It's so expensive to finish this second year. And being a single dad, well, I'll just accept gigs for whatever people could afford. And I will sing on the street, 3rd Street Promenade, which is a shopping center, outdoor shopping strip here in California. It's in Santa Monica. So that was on a Sunday. No, that was on a Sunday. And that Wednesday, someone called and asked me to do a mini concert, and all they could afford to pay me was $75. And my first thought was, absolutely not. I wish I would. And then something said, you said, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll be there. So I showed up and I ended up singing 7 songs instead of the requested 4. And at the end of this program, they allowed people to give into my hands as they were walking out the door. And I left with $780.
Nice.
So the very next day, I'm thinking, wow, I need $1,600 to start school in 5 days. I've got half of it now. So, and the phone rang, and it was the speaker who, spoke the day before. And it was, I don't know if you ever saw this show called Touched by an Angel? Zach Taylor?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's a show that Alan and I grew up watching. One of the main stars on the show, her name was Della Reese. And she was the speaker. And she said that she was so moved by what I did, she basically contacted Mark Burnett. And she's never done this before. So I got music to her, she got music to Mark Burnett, and the very next day when I woke up, I had messages on every possible format from The Voice asking me to come and be on the show, and they were already 30 days into their 2nd season. That's how I made it onto the show, by being impeccable with my word. I set my intention, I applied my attention. I moved in the direction of desire by applying the work to the faith, and those thoughts became the things of the past. Now, while I was on the show, I had many tests, many challenges that were thrown before me, and I believe that I, did what I was supposed to do, and I did them to the best of my ability. But on the show, Christina Aguilera, who was my coach, after having all four chairs turn in a record time, she asked if I was to be crowned the voice, what kind of artist would I be? And I said, well, I believe in speaking things into existence. So I am an international recording artist who sings heartfelt, universal music with soul. Oh, that was nice. I was like, oh my God, good job, Jesse. That was so sweet. That was so nice how you just came up with that. The bottom line is they sent me home that performance. But the fact of the matter is, when they sent me home, it was a shocker to everyone. And when Carson Daly put the microphone up to my, face, to me to give comments, I just said, hey, you know what? I lived a dream. And how I relate to myself while in this process becomes the process. So I'm grateful. And I left the show with grace and dignity. And 2 days later, I was very upset. I was mad beyond belief. And I sat in that darkness just to be in the moment, because I know that everything changes. But when I got over that within a matter of the day, bottom line is, since then, I've been to over a dozen countries singing secular, pop, jazz, R&B. So I literally manifested that as well. So that's kind of how the story goes.
That's a great story. And I love how you talk about, after you were released from the show, it was a shock. It was a big shock to everybody. You had one of the best voices of that season. And I love how, you said you went in, there's a dark side to that, but
Yeah.
you were able to turn that around and something positive came out of it. That's, again, the premise of our show is to shine the light on people such as yourself that turn something negative into a positive. And
Yeah.
again, I love that. I love the message that you have sent to our young viewers here that are listening. Zachary, is there any questions you want to ask Jesse as you hear his story?
Sure. What was your first experience with music growing up? Like, did you sing with your school or church or something like that?
Well, I am a pastor's son. Mm-hmm. And my dad made me get off the drums because I was a drummer. So my dad made me learn a song and sing in the choir. And because it give you the long and short, our church in Chicago, it was like the go-to spot for a lot of Christian recording artists whenever they come to town. Because when they come to town, they knew that when they came to our church, we were rocking it, baby. I mean, everything from the choir, whole choir just killing it. And we were one of the first churches to have a full band where we had, some of everything. It was just everything you could imagine musically, with the exception of strings. But I was a drummer, and my dad made me learn this song, because two of the most famous recording artists called the Winans, two of the members of the group, they stayed with us in our home from time to time, and they would hear me humming as I was doing my chores and playing video games. Well, bottom line is, they told my dad on the way to church, and my dad made me learn the song. That following Sunday, I got up to sing in front of the entire congregation. I was always shy. I would hide behind the cymbals playing the drums. So I was so nervous that I held my crotch like Michael Jackson, head down, and microphone in the other hand, and to the point where my mother came, took my hand, and put it behind my leg. But that's how nervous I was. So that was my first experience performing in front of people. But it was the environment that enabled me to absorb all of these different extraordinary talents of musicians. We had musicians from Northwestern, the college, You know, they were our musicians, and we had all these famous singers that would come through the church. So that was my first experience. So it's something that I still, take, pride in to this day.
Do you, listening to your voice, you have a beautiful voice, and I can, you can hit almost every, note and all the different ranges. Is that something that came natural to you? Was that something that you had to work on? I always wondered, do singers have this natural ability? It's just this amazing voice. Are they born with that, or is it something that you have to really practice every day on? And work, it's just like train, like a fighter. We train every day. So.
Well, at one point, yes, I did. I didn't have to, but it's just a matter of wanting to have better. So the Bible talks about how, when you have these gifts, these talents, you have to do something with them. You can't expect it just to happen. But that's what I would do. But it was just a natural thing, because even when the two gentlemen who stayed with us, they heard me as I do what I do, just walking around the house. No, but no. Just all the stuff like that, just doing stuff. And I just continue with that, even to the point where, when I was married, my ex-wife and my stepdaughter, they were like, "Oh my God, Dad, can you please give us a break?" Because I'm always working.
Taylor, I'm Taylor from Fountain Valley, California as well. Taylor, what's your question for Jesse?
Yeah, I know you've been through so many obstacles that you've been so gracefully been able to overcome. What would you say is one of your most rewarding experiences?
Well, aside from the voice, I'm trying to get this lighting right because I see it's just going in and out there. Let's see. Greatest experience aside from the voice.
That's a great question.
Pardon me?
It's a great question.
Yeah, I know, because there are many. I was very, very fortunate because starting out, I sang before a lot of people, and then later on in my career, I traveled on the road with a play with 6 different major artists. And then when I got my contract on Capitol Records, you know what I would have to say? On the vision board, you can go to YouTube and you can look it up, because I have the vision board and stuff like that up there that I've, a post that I put up several years ago. On the vision board, I put in the corners the major television channels, stations, TV, what do you call them? Like CBS, ABC, NBC, stuff like that, networks rather. And Jay Leno was one of them. And as a result of being on The Voice, we went to the Jay Leno show and they featured me as one of the singers. And Jay Leno asked CeeLo Green, "Is there anyone you're concerned about that's not on your team?" And he said, that Jesse Campbell. Oh, so being on the Jay Leno show and hearing him ask and comment about me, as well as CeeLo Green, and the fact that that was on my vision board, that was probably one of the greatest moments. Because it's nothing more that I had to do. Once I began to move in the direction of desire after setting my intention and then applying my attention, then it just begins to happen naturally. So being there in the office of the music director, and as we're figuring out what's what, and then we got with the band, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is actually happening. Thoughts really do become things.
That's a good point. And I've always done the same thing, Jesse. I think anybody in our world, coming from the fight world and then some of the entertainment stuff, what you do is I used to post things. I learned this at a young age. You take something and you post a picture of it up. I would have things on the side of my refrigerator, car, a house, things that, different things that I wanted in my life. And my wife asked me one time, she goes, "Why do you put pictures of things up there like this?" Because I want to envision that every day. I want to see that, because by doing that, that becomes part of your daily mindset. And that's how you achieve things.
Well, Right now, I have been working feverishly to finish enough of a children's a YouTube kids channel whereby I am using my talents to bring stories to life for them and give these parents a little bit of relief from the cabin fever. I know what it's like to be a dad, and I have one, and I have a stepdaughter as well. So I can only imagine. But that's what I've been working on because I have I've had many opportunities of the past. It's like to do voiceovers and animation, always experimenting with my talent, never staying in any one box for too long of a period of time other than church because it was my base. But from that base, I'd always go from the main base and I'd step out of that box and see what's over there. I say, oh, wow, that's nice. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna take a little bit of this and, ooh, what is that over there? Oh, wow. I really like that too. Oh, I like how he did that. Wow, that is so cool. I'm gonna take a little bit of that. And as I take some of this and some of that, and I practice it until I get it where I'd like it and add my own something to it and it becomes something different. That's kind of how I've done throughout life. I'd always do a little bit of here, a little bit of there. And and as a result, I realized that I can do animated voices. You know, oh boy, hiya, pal, and so many different la 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 la. Hi everybody, it's Elmo's world. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Let me see what I can do with this. So I went to make a demo, and as I made the demo, the woman who was assisting me and putting it together, she was like, "Oh my God, do you understand? You have a natural. Can I make a call?" And so what she did was she contacted her talent agency, and I went down there. Long story short, I ended up sitting with this agency called CED. Now they're called CESD. Back then it was Cunningham, Escott, and Dupini. They couldn't believe it was me on the tape because I gave them all of these voices as an audition. Everybody, no, as a family reunion. So come on up and introduce yourself. And when I got to the audition, they were like, "Hey, you know, honestly, we really don't believe this is you, but we've got a job that came in. So do you mind? Can you really wait for an hour?" Sure, no problem. So I took what I done and switched it and made it from family reunion to everybody come up and audition just by first introducing yourself. And I did that live in front of them. 2 or 3 days later, I signed on a dotted line. And they said, "Oh my God, you're going to make us so wealthy." And I was like, "And you guys only get 5%?" They were like, "Yeah." Oh my God. Finally, thank you, God. But 3 months later, they called me in and they said, "Hey, we know you travel and you minister a lot, but we really need you here available for the auditions because we only have so much room on our roster. And when these jobs come available, you know, every company gets to send so many, so we need you here." So, but I chose to continue ministering for God like a big dun-dun-dun. But the bottom line is they say only what you do for Christ will last. That brought about a lot of upset because I could not understand how is it that I have given up so many wonderful, lucrative opportunities for the sake of God and still reached a point where I couldn't and wasn't able to pay my bills. But that was a part of me getting to know that source gives us so many talents and it's not meant for us to keep confined. The gift makes room, which is opportunity, and it brings you before great men and women. And that's the lesson that I learned out of that. So years later, now I'm like, you know what? I see why I made those decisions. So, you know, I'm going to make new decisions. I'm going to make new choices. So I'm going to take what I have and I'm going to use all of these talents of singing, of reading, of voiceovers, of animation, and I'm going to bring this together and assist children. So that's how all of that came about. That was a long way home, but that was the gist of why I'm doing what I'm doing right
I gotta ask you, what is one of your favorite voices? Can you do that? I want you to go into character real quick with one of your favorite voices.
now. Oh, it is Mickey Mouse. Hiya, pal. Oh, gee. Oh, and I love doing Elmo like I just did Elmo. And so when I do that for kids, they really just lose it. So, we got the old Mickey Mouse, who's hi, whose voice was really high. And then you got the new Mickey Mouse, he's a little bit lower. Oh, Toodles! Hot dog! Oh, so I love doing those because that's what
great how you do that. That's great. Taylor, do you have another question that you'd like to ask Jesse while we have him here on the spot?
Sure, just one. If you were to give your younger self advice, what would it be?
To just not be fearful, work on letting go of the fear. I never really faced the fear as a kid other than, when my dad or when I had to, but it wasn't something that I did intentionally. I would still go off in that place of fear. I was afraid of failure. I was afraid to fail my dad. And so that became, the bane of my talent and my existence, just fear of failure. And therefore I would not branch out. I wouldn't do anything other than what the status quo was. Just be adventurous. I look at people who are so carefree. I look at the LGB, whatever the other things, with all respect, how they're so free and I was like, wow, I wish I had that growing up. Just to, no, I don't want to sing that. Oh, I think I want to try this. No, I don't want to do that. But I would say that, as well as just love yourself, because I was so busy trying to please my dad because he was the pastor of this thriving, just awesome church. And I had to share him with so many people. I was so busy trying to get Dad's attention. Hey, Dad, look at me. I'm on the drums. I'm killing it. Watch this. It's like, yeah, hey, Dad, hey, look at me. I'm going to sing this. No, just love on yourself. I was so busy trying to please other people that I never really learned to love myself until I got older.
That's good advice, Jesse. We always, and it sounds so cliche, but we always say you have to love yourself first before you can love others.
True.
You truly have to look inside of yourself and see, who's inside. You have to be able to be free, let it all out, just do what you want. We all have those issues with parents. We want to please our parents. And sometimes I think we live in that moment saying, hey, let's please our parents. It's not about us, it's about pleasing our parents.
Yeah, it isn't a bad
that's all fine and dandy. That's good. It's good to please your parents, but at some point you have to stop and say, okay, what do I need to do to be successful in whatever endeavor I choose to be? Now I want to be who I want to be. I want to please do this for me. You do it for your family. You do it because there's maybe money at the end of the tunnel. It can be lucrative, like you said earlier. But you have to have the right reasons and the right mindset going into, whatever career you choose. Again, Zachary.
What's your favorite part about performing, just in general?
Being in the moment, literally being in the moment of now. Because when you're performing in front of people, that's one thing. But when you can go to that special place because it's what you love to do, irregardless as to if you're doing it before a sea of people, thousands, or a few people online, doesn't matter. I am in the moment of being, doing, having, as source creation is as me. It's just like when a painter's in that moment and the sculptor's in that moment. When Michael Jordan is in his moment, it's like magic. And finding that magical place when you're singing, it's like it doesn't matter. I'm just being right here in the moment. and I feel you all feeling me, and we're all in this rapture together of power, of love, of light. Yeah, that's just the best I can really give you on that
Yeah.
one.
That's deep. I can see you. I see you getting emotional, Jesse. I know what that means to you. I know that the struggle to do anything when it comes to singing, being an athlete, maybe being in the movies. We all have struggles.
I would like to encourage people to turn within. It's good to get information, um, to learn from others, but I think it's really important to tap in, tune in, turn on to source creation. I've studied different religions, not all of them, because I can't do that. But the bottom line is know thyself. And how do you know thyself? You get as much information as you can, and you eat the fish, you spit out the bones. It's what resonates with you. But more importantly, you turn within by meditating, and you speak, you ask source creation. There is a higher source out there, and that's what beats our hearts and so forth and so on. But knowing who you are by turning within, turning away from the world and the TV and the internet and people, and just sitting in silence, wonderful things come to mind. So that's what I would like to encourage people to do. And also to write the vision, whatever that vision is that you have of yourself, write the vision, and you can make it as plain as putting pictures on a board. And this is what you look at. This is what you apply your attention in moving in that direction, because I am a living witness that your thoughts become things. And you need to eat healthy. You need to feed your person with healthy things. It's okay to have an unhealthy snack or meal every now and then, but you want to keep this as centered as possible so that you can be as free flowing as possible. It's just like a person who's a high on whatever the case, on whatever whatever the thing is that they're high on. They're not in control as much as they would be had they not been high. So it's like the same thing. Get this information and study. But anyway, I can go on and on and on, but just do your best to last thing. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Get the Four Agreements, read the Four Agreements. I live by the Four Agreements, and now it's called the Five Agreements. But live by that, and I'm telling you, if you do that and keep your faith and trust in God and in yourself, set the intention, apply the attention, and those thoughts will become things. That's what I should have said from the beginning, but.
Appreciate it, man. Those are some great words of wisdom. Again, I want to thank Zachary Hernandez and Taylor Tran for coming on. And
Yes.
This is Alan Santana saying, we will see you on our next episode of Shining the Light. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Take care, guys. Nice to meet you, Zach.
Thank you.
I mean, too.
Bye.